ESPN, I believe it was Dan Raphael, put out a tweet saying that there were talks of a Keith Thurman Jessie Vargas fight. I mean, can you is there any way you can talk about that situation? Was that fight potentially being talked about?
Listen, from my understanding, it was a fight that could have been made. We were with the same advisor, Al Heyman, and I also have Luca Valencia on my side too. And it was a fight that can be made. There was some talks about it between my advisors and myself. And as many people seen in an interview where Keith responded to a question when my name was brought to his attention, he said that it was a fight that he would be willing to take. He went as far as disrespecting me. That's the way I saw it. When he said that I was a tuna fight.
Mm.
He said I was a tuna fight, and I was a 140 pounder, not really a 147 pounder. I was just coming up in weight, and that it wasn't a problem. It was a fight that could be made. I mean, you could find the interview online. There's not a problem. And so I felt that he was being very overconfident and a little disrespectful. And I said, okay, that's fine. If that's the cards that he wants to play with, that's fine. As long as he takes the fight, I'm happy with it. That way I can show him what type of fight it would be to face me.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, those talks just haven't been the same recently. He came out recently saying that he doesn't want to fight any tough fights. He doesn't want to he doesn't want to fight any world champions or former world champions.
Mm.
Basically, explaining that he wanted an extremely easy fight. But the thing is that, I mean, once you're the WBA world champion, the minute that you become a world champion, you can't just say, all right, that's it, I got the world champion. You pick and choose the easiest fights out there.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? You just got to live up to the challenge and take up the top level opposition, which I'm one of them. I'm ranked number 3 by the WBC, and I feel that we would give the fans a great fight. I mean, what Keith has to understand is that at the end of the day, the people are the ones that are going to come to the fight. The people are the ones that are going to pay to see you on Showtime. And for that reason, we have to give them entertaining matchups, not just easy cherry picking fights where you can knock someone out in 2-3 rounds. You get what I'm saying? The level of opponent, once you're a world champion, has to maintain at the top level, and you need to have the confidence to take up any challenges. And that's the problem that he's having now. He just like a kid that he won a game and he doesn't want to. He won the title and he doesn't want to risk it anymore.
Do you think that you guys still need quote unquote tune-up type fights?
I don't feel that way. I mean, you could see the way I've been brought up. I've always taken up the top fights. The minute that they mention someone, I say, okay, bring them. That's just always been me. Always been willing to step up to the plate and to take up the biggest fights out there. But unfortunately, not everyone is like that, apparently. I mean, we as champions, the minute that you're crowned world champion, you shouldn't have to pick and choose. Because apparently, from what the title is stating, is that you are the best. So now you're just taking up challenges. And for that reason, you shouldn't have a problem fighting any opponents out there, especially the top 5, 4, 3, or 2. And that's the problem that he's having.
Errol Spence, actually, after his fight, they talked about Keith Thurman a little bit, and Errol Spence said he would give him a pass because he's coming off of injury. Do you think Thurman should get a pass?
Coming from me, the way I've been brought up is make sure to prove who you are and take on the toughest challenges out there. That's just the way I've been brought up and the type of mentality that I've had. And for that reason, I'd come back in a big fight, and I'm expecting for Thurman to do that. He's taken a long enough time. I also took a long layoff not too long ago, and I wanted to come back against Thurman back then. I told my advisor, hey, I really am looking forward to facing Keith Thurman. Can that fight be made? And they mentioned that it was possible if he was free of injuries. But unfortunately, he was still under injury with his shoulder, elbow, I believe.
Mhm.
And for that reason, well, I mean, I had to take up another fight. It was either waiting for him or taking on a fight, and I figured that it was a good idea to take on a fight until he'd be open to fighting me. But now he I guess he sees the challenge as very difficult, and he doesn't want to face me no longer. If you're not ready to fight, then in that case, just vacate the belt and let somebody else fight for it until you're 100% recovered and recuperated.
Mhm.
That'd be the the best decision that he can make. If he doesn't feel ready, if he doesn't feel up to par, well, in that case, he should just let the title go for the meantime, and then the minute that he's ready to come back in a fight, I mean, he could just I think they did this with Floyd before, where he could just come back and fight for the championship right away.
Mhm.
As most fighters nowadays, I mean, what a lot of people don't know is that a lot of fighters do fight under injuries.
Mhm.
And not too many people know this, but I mean, I'm sure that you covered a few, interviewed a few fighters or been in their training camp where they have a few, uh, you know, they have a few injuries, but maybe they just don't say anything because the fight's very close,
Mhm.
and we really can't say anything, But it
Mhm.
is what it is, and we make sure to perform and to find a way to come out with a victory. It's happened to me before in the past where I had a small injury, a minor injury, maybe not an elbow injury, and for that reason I can't speak for Keith. But if he doesn't feel ready, then he should just take some more time off until he is ready to fight against in a world championship fight, because that's where he's at now. He's in the world championship caliber. The way I see it is that, I mean, who did he fight? He fought Luis Colazo. He fought Soto Carras.
Mhm.
Guerrero gave him a good fight,
Yeah.
but Guerrero was in the later part of his career. Danny Garcia was in his that was the fight that made him. That was the fight that made him, the way I
Mhm.
see it. And then, well, I mean, I guess I can't speak for him because he is under an injury. But I just, I mean, how many more tuna fights do you want? The only tough fight that I see him in was the Danny Garcia fight, and he came out victorious, and I congratulate him. But I mean, you gotta stay at that level. You get what I'm saying? The minute that you just passed, you succeeded. You just don't want to be at that level anymore. I just don't know if I see that in him. You know what I mean? Where he
Mhm.
wants to continue to prove himself.